Hello, friends. All right. So I decided to pause on what I was going to do for this video because I realized I haven't talked about one of the most fundamental things for healing autoimmune. And it's something that I think I made an assumption that if you're sort of on the more holistic route of healing, that everybody knows this. I also make an assumption that certain doctors and professionals who are talking about trauma healing know this. But I just saw a video of a very prominent doctor talking about how, he was talking about trauma and nervous. He's a trauma expert and nervous system expert. And he was talking about, he said the body attacks. We know that autoimmune is that the body attacks itself. Let me just stop right there. Okay, here's what we know. The body does not attack itself. And maybe every single video, every single post, everything that I do from this point forward should say that, because I should say that. Because the idea, this idea and thought and theory that exists not only in the collective but in each of us individuals, if it exists on any level, it is a block to your healing. It literally stands in the way of your healing. Because if the body attacks itself, you have this idea that your body is faulty and has done something wrong and it has wronged you in some way. The body is not wrong. It is speaking to you. It is your most direct line of communication between your highest self, your soul, and your physical being, your consciousness, your physical symptoms. The way you feel is communicating to your higher consciousness. They're communicating to each other about what is going on. And if there's a symptom or an illness of some sort, then the body is saying, hey, red flag, something's up. It doesn't, the body attacks itself. This theory is so damaging to the collective, to us, everyone, because not only does it blocks our healing, but it literally takes the power away from us to heal, and it puts it in the hands of people who don't give a fuck if you heal or not. I'm just going to say it like that, okay? The body is attacking foreign invaders, pathogens, toxins, whatever it is that you want to call it. Autoimmune can never be narrowed down to one thing. Most people who heal from autoimmune are doing a couple of different things. They have multiple different things on board in their bucket, taking things out of their bucket. Okay? It's like that bucket theory that I think I explained in another video, that the integrative and functional doctors, by the way, have a way better handle on this than allopathic conventional doctors, obviously, because they're dismantling these pathogens and they're testing for things like things like heavy metals. They're testing for things like Epstein-Barr. They're getting leaky gut taken care of. They're doing things like trying to change that bacteria, that dysbiosis that might be going on in the gut. Now, a lot of people, we have this way, I've realized, of thinking that the things are everything is black and white. No, nothing is black and white. Everything is gray, basically. You know what I mean? Because people who do trauma healing, first of all, nobody heals that I know of just one thing. Usually what happens, even if they're doing trauma healing and they start to heal, what happens when you start doing trauma healing and you start to get more in touch with your higher self, and your nervous system becomes more regulated and your soul actually starts to speak to you, your intuition comes back online, you automatically start to eat better. You automatically start to hydrate and nourish your body in a different way. You automatically are starting to go out and get into the sun and get the sunlight to nourish you. You start to do these things. Then what happens is an organic evolution of your physical system, because of this, through this nervous system, through this trauma healing that can happen, and the detoxification starts to come back online, digestion starts to come back online, you start to absorb your nutrients and your foods better, you know? So even if somebody said, "Oh, I did nervous system work and it healed me," I bet I would challenge that person and say, "Actually, but you changed a lot of other things in your life as a result of that, maybe." But that was what played out, and that actually helped to turn things around physically. I don't know many people who go through trauma healing and nervous system work and start to really get in touch with the felt sense of their body and get tuned into their physical structure again, and don't want to change their diet, that are then going and eating McDonald's and whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like putting toxins in their body. People naturally want to clean up their environment. They want to clean up their, they stop using toxic chemicals. I mean, those of us with autoimmune, by the way, are like very sensitive to certain smells, certain scents. We can no longer handle things like that because we know that those things are toxic to the body. So I just want to break it down. Root causes of autoimmune: viruses, mostly in the form of Epstein-Barr; heavy metals. We get a ton of aluminum, but we know that heavy metals, certainly, mercury and cadmium, are directly related to leg pain. As is trauma, right? Usually, if we experience leg pain and weakness, my legs were a huge symptom for me. So achy and painful all the time. That's a fear moving forward as well. If we want to put it into like a trauma perspective, there's layers to this. Okay, so bacteria and pathogens in the form of, gut dysbiosis. If we have gut dysbiosis, usually we have leaky gut. I don't know many people living in this toxic world that don't have some level of leaky gut. You might meet this 80-year-old woman who never had a health issue in her life. Maybe she doesn't have she doesn't have leaky gut. She grew up in a different world than we did. She had way less toxic exposure. All kinds of things can disrupt our gut. All kinds of toxins are having an effect on our gut. Mold. So you'll meet these people that say, "Oh, I had mold eradicated from I moved into a house, and all of a sudden I got all these symptoms, and I got really, really sick, and I had my house checked for mold, and they remediated, I think is what they call it. Remediated. They took the mold out, or I moved." Some people move. It's like that serious. They're like, forget it, and they move, and their symptoms go away. That's kind of a small percentage of people, to be honest. I'm not saying mold isn't playing a factor in a lot of people. I'm saying for it to be the only factor is kind of rare. Most people who have mold, so their bucket is already sort of full, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If all it took was the mold to sort of exacerbate symptoms. Now, removing the mold might get them down low enough so they have enough capacity to move and function and do things in their lives. But I would bet most people, even with something like mold, are also changing their life. They're also doing things to improve their diet, or maybe they're already doing those things. They're already doing some sort of detox to get the mold. They're starting to detox their body. They're trying to get the mold out of their body. And in response to that, they're also pulling out other maybe toxic chemicals. Maybe they're also helping their gut dysbiosis. They're, killing off some bacteria. A lot of these things that we do to get the mold out is doing other things as well. Parasites is a big one. I try to do a parasite cleanse about once a year. Um, Again, I just want to say most people who have, even though I do a lot of trauma and nervous system focus on this channel, I did a lot of things to heal myself from autoimmune. It wasn't just one thing. And most people who heal from autoimmune have some of these other things on board. The other thing that I want to mention is if you have a root cause of trauma and nervous system, okay, and you go really hard with a protocol, let's say you start to detox or you go on some wild water fast or 16 ayahuasca journeys or whatever it is, it's important to understand that people with nervous system and trauma are gravitating to these extreme protocols because it is driving their system out of the freeze response, maybe even a functional freeze or maybe even non-functional freeze, and putting them into that hyper vigilant, more hypervigilance, adrenalized, running cortisol state. And that also can feel like an addiction because, it's a rush, right? The body feels like a rush of energy. And people who are gravitating to those types of really extreme protocols are probably not healing because their root cause of nervous system and trauma has not been addressed. And not only are they not addressing it, they're likely making it worse because once you go into those hyperadrenalized states, at some point you're going to come down. And mostly we go down into that shutdown. Those people, including myself, this is exactly what I did, by the way. I went keto, I went paleo, I went keto, I went medical medium, I went all across the board, did all things. I did a million juice fasts, all that stuff. The people who are doing these things don't understand this is a generalization, okay? I'm just speaking from my experience and what I have seen. I would say they don't understand what a healthy flow of a healthy sympathetic and parasympathetic flow is supposed to even feel like because they're either way up here or way down here. They've got gas on and brake on at the same time. And that is actually when disease happens. And it's not a coincidence that that people want to go into these sort of extreme protocols because it makes them feel that sort of alive feeling. But what happens is let's say someone goes on a water deep. They have a nervous system trauma root cause. That's one of their root causes, okay? Most people have more than one root cause, okay? But they have a big nervous system and trauma root cause for their illness. And that's never happened before because I need to put do not disturb. Okay. Nervous system and trauma is the root cause for their illness. And they do a water fast. And their adrenaline is gone crazy. When your adrenaline is like that and your nervous system becomes dysregulated, your detox pathways, like when you're in survival stress, detoxification, absorption, digestion, every automatic function of your body is going to be compromised because your autonomic nervous system is responsible for all of those functions. So what happens is someone goes on a water fast, they feel amazing because they're pumping a shit ton of adrenaline through their body. And then they stop the water fast, potentially go down into shutdown, and the toxins that they wanted to eliminate from their body actually didn't efficiently come out of their body because their detoxification was compromised because their nervous system was not working properly, and those toxins just got cycled back through the body for the liver to then process again. So not only is it disrupting the nervous system more, it's actually putting more damage on the body because the body now has to go and process those toxins again because the liver may have released, but then it didn't maybe come out. Maybe some did, maybe not all. And so then they, after a certain time passes, then they don't feel well again. Okay, this happens a lot. It also happens, I have seen that the other way around. So people are just addressing trauma. Maybe they're not doing nervous system and somatic, which is what I wholeheartedly believe in is the only thing that has healed my trauma. Talk therapy did not heal my trauma. Ayahuasca did not heal my trauma. Combo didn't heal my trauma. Somatic nervous system is what is healing my trauma. Okay. So some people will go that route and they don't detox. They don't clean up their diet. Like I said, usually when we're starting to heal our trauma, we become so aware of our body, of our physical body. But let's just say they do ayahuasca to try to heal their trauma. And ayahuasca, by the way, is pulling you from your physical body even more. You're not coming back into your body. And so you don't make that connection like what I was talking about before that will get you more attuned to taking care of your vessel and more aware of taking care of your vessel. So let's just say somebody does ayahuasca trips, they're trying to heal their trauma and they're not cleaning up their diet. First of all, there's a reason why when you go into a ayahuasca ceremony that you have to fast and you have to cleanse and you have to do all this stuff for a few weeks. Like, it's important, you know what I mean? To go into something like that clean and clear. Let's just say they come out of that and they go and they start eating crap foods, or they don't take care of they're eating seed oils and they're, drinking sodas or whatever it is. They go back to their other lifestyle. First of all, we talk about integration all the time, that is not integrating what you may have experienced in ayahuasca. That mentality is a Western mentality. Oh, this thing is going to fix me and then I don't have to do anything else. Like, that is not how we heal. We have to do all the things, That person who might go back to their old lifestyle and not integrate what they experience is still dealing with all their stuff. You know what I mean? Then they're going to go back. They're going to have the same. This is why people are not healing. There's so many layers, like I am on a trauma healing for myself. I love the trauma healing and nervous system stuff. I cleaned up my diet a long time ago, and I detox consistently all the time. And all of these things I'm going to talk about on this channel. But I know I branched off into a lot of different things. My point is, the first step, I've said the first step in a couple of different videos, but they are all parts of the first step, actually. But one of the most important things we have to do is dismantle the belief that our body is attacking itself. There are many pathogens, many toxins many things we have to do for our life to clean our vessel, to clear things up, to lower our viral load, to get our gut dysbiosis under control, to take care of our gut, to eliminate toxic chemicals from our home, and address our nervous system and our trauma to heal. I do not know a person who healed from autoimmune who didn't address all those things. Again, maybe somebody doesn't have a lot of heavy metals, so they don't have to specifically address heavy metals. Maybe somebody has, everybody is different. That is why, too, that two people can have the same diagnosis and one person heals one way and another person, I talked about this in another video, and another person won't. Because maybe one person has a ton of heavy metals and not a lot of trauma, okay? And by the way, the allopathic tests, they're just testing for inflammation. They're just inflammation markers. They're not testing what is causing the inflammation because they think they're saying the body attacks itself. No. If you go to an integrative or functional doctor, they're going to test for the causes of what is causing the inflammation. Okay, so let's say, and they, by the way, they do stress tests now, and they do adrenal stress tests now, which can kind of give, and they're testing cortisol and things like that. They can give you a kind of an indicator of if you're in nervous system trauma, if that's a lot of what sort of your bucket, right, your overflowing bucket that's going on. So one person might address heavy metals, and they heal a lot. You know what I mean? When you address heavy metals, you're also cleaning up your diet. You're doing some detoxification. So your viral load might go down. You're probably clearing up your gut. When you do certain things, it kind of addresses other things as well. That can happen. But let's just say the person has a lot of heavy metals. Maybe their mother had mercury fillings and when they were pregnant and they were exposed or whatever it is. They heal enough of their symptoms that they're not experiencing debilitating symptoms anymore. And another person has the same diagnosis, let's say it's lupus, same diagnosis, they do heavy metal cleanses and detoxes and all this parasites or whatever it is, and they don't heal because they have trauma and nervous system as a root cause. Okay? Anyway, there are always multiple factors from what I have seen. And you know, like I said, most of us who are on this journey and wanting to heal, we change our lives. You know what I mean? It changes our life. And it is a spiritual awakening. And that is what I'm going to talk about in my next video. It was great to see you guys today. And I'll see you at the next video. Bye.